Hi there. The Qingdao summit of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is the first summit after the enlargement of its organization to include India and Pakistan as full members. It's also set in an unprecedented geopolitical and geo-economic context, while the U.S. is further retreating from an open multilateral international order, and the broadly defined Euro-Asia region is witnessing new signs of chaos and instability. How do we better understand the SCO's roles and responsibilities under this new context? What new challenges shall India and Pakistan bring to the SCO? Where does China-Russia bilateral ties stand in the picture? To discuss these issues and more, I'm happy to be joined in the Beijing studio by Ye Hailin from Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, Makdu Baba, president of the Daily Mail newspaper from Islamabad, and Atul Aneja, associate editor of The Hindu. And joining us via satellite from Russia is defense analyst Pavel Fagenhor. That's our topic. This is Dialogue. I'm Yang Rui. Easy but general question for all of you, gentlemen. Have we built a consensus about the spirit of Shanghai Cooperation Organization? And if we have, what is it? What's your definition?
Well, in my opinion, we have built it, and the way during last few months, the Pakistan and India relations are heading towards cooling down of the tension that was there for 3 years. It's now easing. I think this is what in Shanghai spirit they say: the mutual trust, the equality, the respect of each other's cultural diversities and these things. I think we are heading toward that Shanghai spirit that now it is becoming more than vision of President Xi Jinping as well.
Are you confident that all of the member states, including the two new members of India and Pakistan, agree to the consensus or principle that we should have mutual trust? Other than coordination and cooperation, we also have competition one way or another. But what is your idea about the spirit?
Well, in terms of concept, I think there is agreement to go ahead. I think the problems really will come in when you translate the concept into actual policies. That's where the negotiations will come in, that's where the give and take will come in. But the framework is there for all the countries, including India and Pakistan, to cooperate. So the challenge really is how do we move forward on specific issues. If it's a question of economics, it's a question of innovation, it's a question of terrorism, how is it that we're going to blend our positions? I think it's a very interesting challenge, and the SCO gives us space to quietly talk these major issues beneath the radar. And I think that's a major opportunity for all, and especially India and Pakistan.
Hailin, it seems your Indian neighbor and colleague has given us a very clear picture, level-headed picture about opportunities and challenges coming from this multilateral agreement or organization, a regional bloc, so to speak. What are the Chinese considerations concerning the principles and challenges?
Actually, the Shanghai spirit came from the Shanghai Five already about 20 years ago. So I think it's time tested. But we should notice that SCO is designed for addressing the domestic and the internal threats, not addressing the external threat. So the diversity won't be any problem. Actually, the diversity among the SCO frameworks is the driving forces. It's the power strength of this organization. We designed this organization to address the issues among us, not the enemy outside. So we had to respect the diversity. And also we should notice that if there is no diversity, everything is reaching consensus, there is no any internal problem, why SCO? SCO here is working for Central Asia and South Asia to enhance the regional integrity and enhance the regional framework to address the common threat.
Indeed, we have different interpretations about the spirit of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and Russia and China join hand to play the pivotal role in shaping the landscape of SCO and perhaps in addressing common challenges. So let me go to Pavel Fagenhor. Hello. What are the Russian thoughts on the challenges in particular from within the SCO?
Well, the Shanghai Organization from the very beginning was seen in Russia as a kind of important vehicle of promoting kind of Eurasian unity. and Eurasia as being some kind of subject of international relationships. And sometimes when relations, like right now with the West, are getting really bad, some in Moscow see it as a kind of counterbalance to NATO, a kind of Asian NATO that's going to be taking, preventing the spread of hegemonism of American maybe influence. I personally believe that that is a totally wrong notion, that the strength of the Shanghai Organization has always been its core mission of preventing the spread of Sunni Salafist extremism, especially in Central Asia, in Afghanistan and former Soviet Central Asia. And that is what unites very different countries in China and India and Pakistan and Russia and all the Central Asian republics against, behind one real, very serious goal, because the threat is there and this unites them. If you try to move out of the core mission, you're going to run into problems because different countries have different agendas outside of that. And the thing is may begin to kind of disintegrate, if not disintegrate, turn into a talking club. But while it's down to core mission, that's important, and the core mission also requires rather good and working relationship with the West. That's why, say, Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan right now are actually increasing their ties with America to help America prevent Afghanistan from going over to the extremists, because they know that that is the real threat. Though in Russia some don't like their kind of better close relations with America, and Russia has bad relations. So I mean, this is all about the core mission. And the core mission should be at the center of anything happening in the Shanghai Organization.
Thank you so much, Pavel. A very good picture and description about the core issues concerning the principle and spirit implied in the cooperation. Now, Hailing, what's going to happen tonight in Beijing? I mean, Thursday night is that President Xi Jinping will give a Medal of Honor and Friendship to his Russian counterpart, Mr. Vladimir Putin, to highlight the importance of the bilateral relationship. And Putin said in his interview with Shanghai President of the China Media Group that President Xi is the only head of state that celebrated his birthday. This small story somehow underscores the very special relationship, but I'd like to have your analysis on the uniqueness.
Yeah, I don't think it's only because of they have very personal contacts. They also reflect the very comprehensive picture among the bilateral relations. Actually, Russia and China worked together for the last decades, multiple decades, to try to stabilize this disorganized world, actually, and they work together to make the contribution to multiple issues in the different regions, including Central Asia. Actually, if I would like to recall the history, I will say to stabilize the Central Asia, to prevent the terrorism and the extremism, is one of the major contributions made by China and Russia, and majorly made by the Russian president for the last 20 years. So I think this medal not only means it's the symbol for friendship, it's also kind of the landscape for the future cooperation.
It's a matter of recognition of the two major powers in the Eurasian continent. Mike, do you think SCO remains a talking shop, or it's been a practical platform for addressing real issues, as Mr. Yehelin spoke of a few minutes ago?
Yeah, if you talk about the talking shop, we have seen one talking shop that just got paralyzed a few years back. That was the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, SARC. So it had become just a talking shop, and then because of some hostile media activities and all that, it went. But if you see the SCO, and especially the spirit that has been generated to it after the visionary leader like Xi Jinping came on the scene, I think they have been doing a lot of positive things and very encouraging, and this is why Pakistan and India have joined it, and now Afghanistan and Iran are in the waiting
There's
line.
no question about the all-weather relationship between Pakistan and China. However, what happened last year at the Xiamen SCO summit, the BRICS summit, I think, in Xiamen, in the joint statement, China agreed to terms like terrorism and Fakani, right? The terrorism
Fakani network.
And, and the Pakistani friends were upset about the mention of the alleged terrorism. For a while, it seems this bilateral relationship was strained. What do you think of the jitters that have been caused by the joint statement?
No, I don't think so that anybody with a serious mindset in Pakistan was disturbed by it, because in the Heart of Asia conference, before this BRICS summit, we had already signed these conditions, and we had agreed to, you know, Pakistan is the biggest victim of terrorism in the region or even in the world. So Pakistan itself is moving ahead along with China, and Haqqani network, as far as it is concerned, our military operation carried out massive. We have laid down like 7,000 to 8,000 officers and soldiers and 70,000 Pakistanis. So that operation was going across the board, and just recently, after the BRICS summit, we have made a lot of achievements in dismantling all sort of networks on our earth. So nobody was, some sensational media organizations in Pakistan were thinking that Pakistan is upset, but they forgot that everything that came in BRICS summit was also mentioned in the Heart of Asia conference.
Thank you very much for giving us this first-hand account about how Pakistani people felt about the joint statement that India and China released from the Xiamen summit of BRICS economies in Fujian, a coastal province in southern China. You are watching Dialogue about the upcoming SCO summit in Qingdao, and what generated headlines about this event is very quickly Prime Minister Modi agreed to meet with President Xi Jinping again 1 month later in Qingdao, other than their summit in Wuhan. We'll be back in a short minute, in a short while. Stay with us, please. I have a question for my Indian friend. Among all the member states of the SCO, your country is the only one that openly says we have different interpretations, if not serious disputes about the Belt and Road Initiative. All others are either beneficiaries or strong supporters of President Xi Jinping's blueprint about the Belt and Road Initiative. Do you think this will be a disturbing factor and will undermine the spirit of SCO?
I don't think so, because the Chinese side especially is very clear as to why India has not supported the Belt and Road Initiative as a concept. It was because of a sovereignty issue on relating to the China-Pakistan economic corridor, but that's about it. But in terms of individual project, and this happened in Wuhan, where there was an agreement that we will not allow this difference to come in terms of actual collaboration on the ground. And as a result, in the Wuhan summit, we decided to do a joint project in Afghanistan. And I think the same spirit will hold with the SCO countries as well. Even if there are projects which may be named Belt and Road, but if India sees a benefit in that, and as do the other partners, we'll go for it. The Bangladesh, China, India, Myanmar corridor, BCIM coming from Yunnan, is also something which we are ready to work for. So I don't think it's coming as a problem, given the importance of the India-China relationship. Both sides understand this, and I think we are over the hill on that.
Thank you so much. Let me get back to Pavel. Hello, Pavel. What's your view about the position and importance of India, the South Asian major power that we have just recruited in this latest round of enlargement? Do you think we should take India more as a leading regional power, a global one, or a balancing power for all the competitors and the economic partners?
I didn't get the question. Could you repeat it, please?
My question is, India has a very big ambition, geopolitically and politically.
Yes.
India is a partner of the quadrilateral dialogue with other Western powers, that even goes as far as to patrol the South China Sea. And India does not buy the idea about the road initiatives to some degree, despite their clarification. Can you hear me clearly, Pavel?
Yes, I got that.
So do you believe India is a
this
leading power, a global or regional one, or a balancing one?
Yes, I got it. Thank you. Yes, I mean, this has been basically a long-standing Russian grand strategic idea that been forming this kind of Eurasia unity, which would invite China, India, Russia kind of standing up to the so-called sea powers, led by America. But the problem is, of course, that India has its own agenda, and this agenda sees China as the main adversary, which means that though of
Excuse
course
me,
India
Hailing,
and
do you
China
agree
doing
that
their best.
India views China as the major adversary in this region?
At least a part of them.
Well, India sees
all
China
of them.
basically as its main adversary. Of course, Pakistan, but Pakistan is seen as from India as a Chinese kind of proxy. So yes, these things, I mean, despite all the good talk between the leaders of India and China, there is still the underlying problem that India has seen China primarily as the major adversary in Eurasia. And that's against, I mean, from a Russian point of view, that's a bit wrong. I mean, or maybe totally wrong. But that also means that Russia right now and India, those still having very close relationship, are beginning to increasingly move away from each other. While Russia is increasing not only good relationships with China, but also increasingly with Pakistan.
Thank you so much.
So
I have to leave you there alone.
problem is that
Pavel,
these
let me come back to the Beijing studio, Makdur. This Russian expert of defense analyst may have given a very realistic description about the chemistry and geopolitical relationship, complicated one, between and among the member states of SCO. Do you agree that Pakistan has been used by China as a proxy? And do you agree that India is potentially or realistically an adversary for the prospects of the SCO? We know that you have a very interesting history between India and Pakistan.
Well, first of all, I don't believe at all that the theory that Pakistan is being used as a proxy by China. We have very traditional friendship, very old friendship, and it is being quoted all over the world, the level of friendship that Pakistan and India enjoy. I don't think that either side of the friend can misuse it and make it for some proxy or something like that. But overall, our assessment about the SCO success is that with these Pakistan and India joining it, and with more countries coming in, we are also publishing a special report on this SCO summit. She factor is the key factor. Most of the things would be done on the sidelines of SCO summit. Most of the things would be done with the personal influence of President Xi Jinping amongst the leaders, whether they are Indian. Just now, after a meeting with Pakistanis and Indian leaders, Pakistan and India for the first time in history agreed to have joint military exercises. New Delhi sent a delegation to Islamabad a couple of weeks back, which was suspended for like 3 years or so. So things, I think at SCO, key factor will remain the key factor, and because of this presence of President Xi Jinping for an unlimited period, many disputes would be solved in informal manner.
That is very good. That is very good. We are very happy to hear this. The thing is, when it comes to the issue of China-Pakistan economic corridor, Indian friends will raise their eyebrows and show their open suspicions and disagreement. Now, do you think this huge project is likely to grind to a halt due to the strong opposition from your neighboring country of India? And I also encourage you to be involved in a very short discussion. First of all, your thoughts.
I don't think that India is doing the right thing by opposing CPAC, because they want to be part of BRI, but at the same time they oppose CPAC because of the Kashmir issue. Now, Kashmir issue is the issue that is having UN resolutions on it.
It takes hours for us to focus on this territorial dispute between India and China in Kashmir and Jammu along the line of control. Your thoughts?
Well, if you look at it, we need a resolution, a de facto resolution on the Kashmir side to accept the CPEC, because it's a sovereignty issue, and China very well understands when it comes to sovereignty issues there is a certain amount of inflexibility. Whether it's
I understand that China keeps a careful distance from the disputes concerning Kashmir. It's a matter of yours, right?
Right. So this is one issue on which we claim that's our territory. So it's a question of territorial issue. I think that's going to be an obstacle. But I'm not saying that it's going to be a permanent obstacle. We already, and I was talking to a Pakistani friend before we came here, that in 2005 we were very close to a de facto resolution of Kashmir, making the line of control as a de facto border and having industrial parks and people-to-people contact on either side. I think the time has come that we revisited that. And if we go on that track, then I think we can resolve the sovereignty issue and the CPEC issue all at the same time.
It's a big relief, Hailing, isn't it, that we see Indian and Pakistan guest speakers in your neighborhood coming to an agreement about a possible solution in the near future, perhaps on the platform of the SCO. Are you optimistic?
Very frankly speaking, I don't think that SCO will be the major platform for the Kashmir dispute final solution. They will be extremely difficult. Still, I think
but Kashmir has become an internal issue for the SCO.
But the question is that the Kashmir issue still major through the channel between the bilateral relationship between India and Pakistan. This is the major.
Russians and the Chinese have agreed.
We can provide some mediator role or play some make the contribution for the consensus, but I don't think it will be the SCO decision to solve this problem. It's beyond the capacity and beyond the task, the essential task of SCO.
So do you believe Islamabad and New Delhi expect SCO to be involved in finding a solution to Kashmir? Or you would rather hope SCO would leave that alone to the two parties in the game?
Well, if I can come here, you know, when it comes to formal dialogue, that will be between New Delhi and Islamabad, no question about that. But a lot can happen behind the scenes. For example, a track 2 dialogue or a track 1.5, which the SCO format. Behind that we can have a forum which can be created where we quietly have this dialogue among the experts and the well-meaning people and help the principals and give them ideas to come to a solution. I think that's the route which can be followed through the SCO.
The last question is very much about the integration of Belt and Road Initiative with the Euro-Asian Economic Union, a brainchild from President Putin. There's an agreement that Moscow and Beijing finally see common ground for the two sides to get so close through energy collaboration, infrastructure, building, so on and so forth. What do you think?
For the Central Asia part, I think so. And there's a lot of the prospect. For the South Asia part, I think there's still a long way to go. Although China and India has a lot of agreements and also a lot of disagreements. But on the BRI and the relationship between China and India, I think we had to hold our patience and copy the experiments from the Central Asia to apply it in the South Asia. It won't be so easy. So still, we need time.
Let me go to Pavel. Pavel, sorry for keeping you waiting, but the key issue between our two countries is, of course, something that's been theoretically resolved between the two leaders, Putin and Xi Jinping. What do you think of the combination of Euro-Asian Economic Union with the Belt and Road Initiative? Is that a bumpy journey or something that you are confident and hopeful about?
Well, Russia and China have a very important, right now, common goal to find a way to kind of stand up to the very erratic Trump's American policy. And that's increasingly giving common ground on many different other issues. Though, of course, it's very important not to overdo it, because going too anti-American is also as bad as not going enough anti-American, because, yes, of course, the erratic American policies should be resisted, but doing too much would be detrimental to both nations. And that's, I believe that President Putin and President Xi will find a way to kind of find the middle ground in that very serious situation.
And lurking behind the whole scenario, Pavel, is Iran, the Persian state. Now, the upcoming official visit by President Rouhani, would take place against a very interesting background of a pullout of the United States from the 6+1 nuclear deal. And Iran remains a closer partner of SCO. Do you think there are any considerations on the Russian side to have another round of enlargement, which means the Persian state will be recruited? And what does that mean for the future of SCO?
Well, Russia has been supporting the getting Iran inside the Shanghai Organization, but of course China has been insisting that since Iran is still under sanctions, and it is still under quite a number of sanctions, that's not on the table. Most likely it won't be on the table. Of course, Russian-Iranian relations are very complicated and very intricate. And right now, Russia is in the middle of negotiating a very important Russian-Israeli-Iranian agreement on Syria and withdrawal of Iranian forces from
Thank you so much, Pavel. Thank you so much
Israeli
for
border
your
and so on. But
analysis.
so it's a very...
Thank you so much. Hailing, very quickly, what do you think of the possibility of having Iran as the next full member of SCO?
If it will happen, it will require time.
It will take time.
It will take time.
All right. And your thoughts, very quickly.
I also think that that would be very important, but it will also, at the same time, it will take some time. Both Afghanistan and Iran, once they will be on board, that would be real change.
I think the Iranians are very keen to, especially the kind of pressure which they're faced in the Middle East from Israel and others. So they are very keen to join. But I think in the long run, it will be a set for the SCO to have a pivotal state like Iran joining and becoming a part of Eurasia. I think strategically it will be great for the SCO to have Iran.
Economically and population-wise, this Central Asian continent does account for a lion's share of the world, and that means a lot for the future of SCO. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.